Hello, good evening, viewers. You're welcome to Ben Television, and my name is Kayode Ogundamisi, and it's your program Politics with KO. Joining me tonight, my co-host, she's been away for a while, Rose P. Graham. How are you doing now?
I'm fine. How have you been? But you've been keeping strong. You've been doing so well.
They survive now.
And you've been everywhere since we had this issue of IPOB.
Yeah, my brothers. So, well, first let's say that we're happy Nigeria's is it 57th birthday anniversary is going to come up on the 1st of October 2017. So that means in few days we're going to have Nigeria one more year. Where how far so far? What have we done? What have we achieved? But that's not for tonight, because there's a major issue confronting our country now. It's the issue of the right of the people of Biafra to self-determination. And there's one organization that is actually shaking the country. It's called the Indigenous People of Biafra, led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Is meant to be the spiritual leader and the head of Biafra. So, first, Rose, give us a little background about this organization.
Okay, we know that Nnamdi Kanu used to be based here, and there was a particular video he did in 2012 where he was talking about the essence of the country remaining as one. Yeah. But then today he's saying something entirely different. Okay. And of course we know how far he's gone with it with his Radio Biafra. Yeah. He's been preaching hate, and he's been talking about the succession of the country. But of course we know the president of Nigeria, it doesn't want to hear that. In as much as the country is in a recession, there's so much he needed to do. We could see how swiftly he went into action when he got back to Nigeria, because he realized that this issue seems to be getting out of hand. Yeah. You know, because if you look at it, maybe the government went about it in a wrong way, but this is actually what quite a number of Nigerians have been waiting for, in a way. But just like I said, we are not just going to brush that side. Put aside, you know, the people who died, that some people actually called expendables, so that we could maintain peace in the country. Yeah. But you know, if you ask most Nigerians, even most of the people from the eastern part of the country, they do not want to break away from Nigeria, because if you look at it, most of them have investments in different parts of the country. I mean, this is a no-brainer. The Igbos have multiple investments running into billions of dollars in the north, in the south. So why would they want to break away before we now start going into getting documentation and other things if you want to travel from the east and, you know, basically.
Let me remind our producer, especially Toby, that he needs to press the red button so that we'll be live on Facebook and join our viewers there. But if we can't do that, we just want to tell you, if you're on Facebook, we'll just find a way of getting back to you. Don't worry. Nobody will stop us, so we have to have this conversation on Facebook. And the phone lines are open right now. The phone lines are open. We would just call on our producer to make sure that we have our viewers being able. We want this to make about this your conversation. Everyone knows my view about IPOB, so I'll try today not to make it about myself.
Yeah, Kayode has been talking more and more. Yeah. I have even been getting phone calls on why is Kayode so about this particular issue. But no.
That's why I'm not gonna make it about my opinion.
No, it's not about that. It is actually commendable because we do not want a Rwanda experience in Nigeria. I mean, they lost almost a million people, and we know the number of people we lost during the Civil War. We do not want that.
Okay, let's take a short video. There are other things going on in Nigeria. This conversation is your conversation, and don't worry, we will discuss Biafra, the whole of the program. But someone has declared for the presidency he wants to contest in 2019, Governor Ayodele Fayose. If we have that clip now, let us listen to Governor Fayose's declaration. Governor Fayose feels he is able to dethrone or able to remove Buhari from office in 2019. So that is one thing that is happening in Nigeria. At least we have a presidential candidate in Ayodele Fayose. Atiku has been doing like this, like that, you know. He's not saying if he's going to contest for presidency, but we know he's got a lot of structure on ground, and he's got a lot of young people that he's more or less investing in. So let's have that clip with Fayose's declaration.
Help is on the way. Be assured. Ayo, Peter, the rock. Today your eyes are seeing good things for Nigeria. Today you have witnessed hope, restoration of civil rule in our country. The best way to make Nigeria go forward is to put a young man in authority. The best way to let Nigeria go forward is to put a man that has what it takes in place. A man who has experience. You can't give what you don't have. Our government entity, even with limited resources, have made a huge difference. Have restored our identity, the fountain of knowledge. If you don't like, don't believe. But one day, you will make reference to today. That you are part of this declaration, Mr. President. Let me come and visit you.
That was Governor Fayose. At least that's one person that's going to get the vote of IPOB and its supporters, because it's very well liked in the southeast of the country. So if there's any particular part of Nigeria Fayose is going to get his vote from, Igbo land. He has that kit.
Okay, Kayode.
South, and southeast. So good luck to him. Well, let me first take this caller.
Okay.
The calls are coming in. Remember, we are discussing IPOB, the road to Biafra. How visible is it? Good evening, caller.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Kayode. It's Emmanuel from True Nigerian.
All right, go ahead, please.
I'm very happy you've taken an opportunity to discuss IPOD as a way to achieving Biafra. Yeah. I think this is what our government need to do. They need to be very open and frank and let people have the conversation,
sure,
rather than trying to shut people up. I personally, I am in support for a constitutional means to, you know, if we want to break up, but we must follow the rule of law.
Absolutely.
And that's what the government is afraid of. If Biafrans want their Biafra, the rule of law has to be followed.
Yeah.
My concern is those who represent the Southeast people are not speaking up at the legislative arm where they should be speaking up.
Yeah.
So if they haven't spoken up, it's now up to the people who are in support of having their Biafra to take them out of the legislative arm of government.
Yeah. Okay.
And speak at both the state level, local government level first, at state level, and get the people who are ready to speak up for them into those places.
Okay, all right.
Once they can achieve that, then maybe those at the national level, at the federal level, will now do the necessary things. Unfortunately, the Nigerian constitution as it stands does not have a room for a referendum for a breakup.
Okay, all right, Emmanuel.
That those people at the federal level will need to speak up to amend the constitution to allow for that to happen.
Fair point.
This is the fact, and this is why I personally am not in support of the 1999 Constitution.
Okay, Emmanuel, we have to round up now so that we can have other callers come in. Emmanuel has got a point there. IPOB has woken up the consciousness of at least Nigerians in terms of going back to this issue of restructuring. Emmanuel made a very, very valid point there. If you do not amend the constitution, it's a waste of time. Apparently, referendum is not in our constitution. Why is it that this group will not be able to just go through their elected officials?
Okay, Kayode, you see, in the next 2 years now, well, how long do we have till 2019? There's going to be several activities, like the consciousness, like you said, most groups are coming up and they are waking up, and there are messages going all around telling us who to vote next, because you understand the role the social media played in the last election. But I'm sorry, I know reconstruction, IPOD and everything is really important, but Fayose is one person we should not underestimate in Nigeria. I'm making reference to it because you played the video and you heard his declaration. He seems to be the only opposition against this government. If we're running a real democracy, we should have a vibrant opposition. And he seems to be the only one who's been speaking against the Buhari government. And then we saw how he took over an incumbent government in Ekiti State. Let me see. You might say no. I'm hopeful.
I don't want to distract us from IPOB. And Fayose, good luck to you. You know, good luck. You can run for as long as you want to run.
I know you're not a fan of his.
And you can get the support of both IPOB, MASOB, Niger Delta Avengers, and good luck to you. But back to IPOB, and I know we've got another caller on the line. The calls are coming in. Don't get tired of calling. The studio numbers are there. IPOB. We had them in the funny thing is that we were actually one of the very few platforms that gave IPOB almost an hour in this studio. The deputy leader, Mazi, Mefo, and Carol Monday, they were in this. They were on this seat actually, and we asked them, "How do you want to go about?" That's almost 2 years now. How do you want to go about this campaign for Biafra? In my own personal opinion, they did not have a clear-cut roadmap to Biafra. And look, what I said then is come to pass. If you put your hand inside fire without the protective glove, it will burn you.
Sadly.
Sadly. I told them of my experience within the OPC. You know, you have to be very tactical. What did IPOB get wrong?
You know, as it is now, it's like there is no proper organization. I heard some of them, they have a group across the country who is going to help them with some form of technology, with, you know, in trying to achieve what they want to. But I just see now the kind of feels, if he makes a lot of noise, he could get what he wants. And that is what he's been doing ever since. And at the end of the day, we see where it has landed. We don't know where he is. We don't know what is happening. There is no proper structure on the ground. And most of the power players in the Eastern community, you see, most of them have been quiet, and we haven't heard any of them, you know, throwing their weight behind it, financially or vocal. They haven't been vocal. Even the governors, they haven't been. Maybe quietly they're saying, let us see how far this young man can take us, because this is his dream, and he has a lot of followers. I mean, most of I'm looking for a word for it now. Like the ordinary man or the ordinary Easterner, they seems to be following him. You see when they hit the street, I mean, they are in hundreds of thousands. But see, the major players in that community, they are not saying anything. So, and apart from that, Nnamdi Kanu does not have a structure on ground, and violence it cannot help in this
what
succession.
I would say, in all, giving him some credit here, is that he has captured the imagination of young people across Southeast Nigeria. There's no part of Southeast Nigeria that you would go to, and some parts of South Nigeria that this guy does not get
resonates with a lot of young people.
Following.
Yeah,
but the fact is, I would say that. Hitler in Germany was a sergeant in the German army, and he was seen as one insignificant person. Guess what? He was able to mobilize a mass of the German people from a sergeant in the army. You know, he rose through the ranks, and he became the leader in Germany. Not just that, he took them to a war, and he was able to capture the imagination. But sadly enough, he also did a lot of destructive acts, you know, the killing of the Jews.
6 million.
My point is that the world is never lacked demagogue. And there are so many issues within our country that when you speak the right language, you have the right charisma, and you have the right tools, you are able to mobilize the people. But having said that, can we say the government has been fair in dealing with IPOB, the alleged extrajudicial murder, the alleged human rights violation?
Kayode, you see, that is an issue you might want to look this way or that way. Yeah. I would take the layman angle first. Where I grew up, usually they say you do a bad thing because of a good thing. And then a few people have to pay for it so that the larger population would not have to suffer. Everyone said to the government that instead of going in with violence, why don't you just call this guy and speak with him? Just like you did with the group in the north who said that come October 1st, we would start, you know, militating against the Easterners who are in the north, and then they were called to a roundtable conversation, and it was handled.
But let's put the Nnamdi Kanu has made it very clear. He said it here. Look, he will never negotiate with the zoo. He would rather die than negotiate with the zoo. It's either Biafra or nothing. Sorry, he has over 1 million soldiers ready on standby.
Kayode,
I think.
Kayode, if you look at this young man...
No, it's a wrong comparison in the sense that Shekau, the Boko Haram leader, does not recognize Nigeria. He will never negotiate with Nigerian government. I would place...
But he did negotiate.
No, Shekau, he never negotiated.
We heard of several negotiations,
that is factually wrong. The rhetorics of Shekau and the faction the government are negotiating...
That was... No.
The point I'm trying to make...
The government have been telling us they've been negotiating with Boko Haram. We've heard that back to back.
They've never said they were negotiating with Shekau.
Not him in person,
they've never.
With his organization.
And Shekau has never said he's negotiating with the Nigerian government. In fact, each time the government claimed to be negotiating with Boko Haram, he denounces. And the same thing with Kanu. Each time the Southeast governors claim, or Anez Ndigbo claim they want to meet with Kanu, goes on his rhetoric to say he would never negotiate with the Nigerian government. How do you deal with this? I've got a caller on the line. Let's hear what they've got to say. My take is, can IPOB lead Southeast Nigeria to Biafra land, or Southeast, South Nigeria as they claim, and some parts of Kogi and some parts of Benue that they claim is a republic? Is it possible? As the Nigerian government fair on these guys? Have they maltreated them? What advice do you have? Good evening. Hello, good evening, caller. Hello.
Hello?
Hello, good evening. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, my name is Ola. I'm calling from Austria.
From Austria?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yeah, my contribution, mostly about the IOP. Yeah. Yeah, firstly, about the IOP in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Though they are freedom to ask anything they want, but the mistake of the government.
Hello, I think we're having a feedback. Ola in Austria, if you want to call us back and make sure you mute the volume of your TV set so that we can hear you clearly. It's a shame we missed that. So back to the, will Kanu really negotiate with the zoo? In your opinion, his actions so far?
I think he would. I think he's just talking and talking. He also should realize that he needs to be diplomatic about things like this. A young man who has no idea of how he would go about this thing, because what he is actually asking for, he does not understand the magnitude of it, because it is beyond him. Yes, he started it, and they all realize we should do this, but he doesn't understand how humongous it is. Okay. So if he says that this is what we want to do, and we want to speak to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the President of Federal, let me tell you something, Kayode. If Nigeria is going to break, the Muhammadu Buhari that I know is not going to break under him.
Okay.
He would not allow it.
Even Jonathan said he would never let Nigeria break. Let's have Austin. Good evening, Austin. Please tell us where you're calling from.
Yeah, hello. I'm calling from London.
All right, go ahead, sir.
First of all, I just want to say, although I don't agree with IPOB, but the point is this. Every group has the right to request for self-determination under the UN Charter.
Absolutely.
And it's a wrong analogy to compare Nnamdi Kanu with Shekau. Nnamdi Kanu has not attacked anybody. He has not engaged in any terrorist act. It's just verbal, talking about it.
Okay.
So he has the right to speak because, I mean, it's freedom of expression. But the government should have used a different way of resolving this issue instead of resorting to violence.
Okay.
Sending down the army to go and beat up people and brutalize people. Yeah. In the UK, for example, Scotland asked for a referendum. Yeah. And they were given the right. If they give the right to the Igbos, they won't vote for a referendum. You'll be surprised that a lot of them will vote not to be part of Biafra.
Biafra, yeah.
So
okay, Austin, let me ask you a quick question, because you closed the UN Charter here, and in those rights to self-determination within the UN Charter, there are limitations to those rights. I mean, if you're within a sovereign state, you are encouraged to use the machinery of the law, the state law within those contexts. In Scotland, I've not heard any Scottish, I've not heard Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland or any Scottish person, at least of recent, declaring England as a zoo, banning English pastors from coming to Scotland, or even at some point, I've never heard any Scottish nationalists say that they are preparing nuclear bombs to blow up the zoo, England in this case. Within those rights, there are also limitations, and in this case, in the context of comparing Kanu with Shekau, rhetorics-wise, I'm not saying actions, even England does not support hate speech. They are quite clear about that. What would be your reaction to that suggestion? Hello,
yeah, because the point is that Nnamdi Kanu is just words. Words. I mean, in Nigeria, there are a lot of things that have been happening in Nigeria. Yeah. What do they call them? The headsmen are going around slaughtering people. Nobody has called them to account. Yeah. People in Kanu, in Kaduna were slaughtered. A lot of Christians were slaughtered in Kaduna. Nothing was done. The army wasn't even sent there to go and do anything. So I don't support IPOB. I want Nigeria to be one. Yeah. But the problem is that sometimes in a marriage, if marriage is not working, you cannot tell your daughter, if your daughter is in a marriage and the marriage is not working with the husband, you force the wife to stay there.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Okay, thanks. Austin, thank you so much.
Because they feel that Nigeria is not working for them. That's their own perception.
Okay, Austin, thank you so much so that we can let more calls come in. And I think Austin made a fair point there.
Yes.
And I think that's actually what people don't understand is that you can oppose Kanu and his IPOB and not oppose what they stand for. Like, I personally am not opposed to the call for restructuring. I've spent a loads amount of my life an article calling for restructuring. I'm not opposed to the right of ethnic nationalities to ask for self-determination. But is it possible to oppose the modus operandi of IPOB?
Just the way.
Without opposing.
You see, it's the way and manner is going about it. That is what a lot of people cannot relate with or support. I mean, it is not. See, what you're talking, so section is a language we do not understand in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, maybe in another 10 years or 20 years, we might start looking into that. But Nigeria as it is, you're talking about restructuring. Restructuring does not mean, does not translate to us going our separate ways. Within that nation, with several nations coming together, we can make the country work the way it should be running. But sadly, with the way Nigeria is structured, a lot of people say we've been put together in a way whereby we cannot work.
Okay, I've got Abiola on the line, and I always want to make this because we are talking about IPOB. IPOB is not asking for restructuring. Let's be clear about that.
Yes.
They want Biafra, the independence of Southeast, South Nigeria, some parts of Benue, some parts of Kogi,
some parts of Edo.
Some parts of Edo. No, Niger Delta,
which is not possible.
They want it as a republic. So let's not mix it up. But I've got Abiola on the line. Good evening, Abiola. Tell us where you're calling from.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Kanu has the right to demand for anything, but it has no right to be above the law.
Okay.
He proved that it's above the law. That is also my contribution.
Okay, thank you so much. Kanu has the right to demand whatever he wants to demand, but he does not have the right to be above the law.
Yes.
On that note of being above the law, I would ask this question. Does that give the Nigerian government or the Nigerian army, allegedly, to act in ways that does not befit modern soldiers? I want our viewers to see this, to watch this clip. It's a clip of Nigerian army officials allegedly torturing IPOB members after they had been, well, let me put it this way, it's a battle between the two armies, Biafran army and Nigerian army. Biafran army captured Nigerian army captured Biafran army, and guess what? Nigerian army refused to respect Geneva Convention. The prisoners, the Biafran soldiers surrendered, and under international law, you're supposed to keep them and take care of them. But this is what the Nigerian army did to Biafran soldiers, in quote, Kanu soldiers. Patrick, please hold on so that we can see, I think we have the wrong clip here. So we'll come back to that. Let's take the call from Patrick. And when we get back, we'll show you that soldier, that clip of Nigerian army allegedly torturing IPOB members. Good evening, Patrick.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead, Patrick. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good evening. I'm calling from Italy.
Sorry, where is that?
I'm calling from Italy.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I just tuned in to listen to the discussion on IPOB and the issues going on right now in Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
And from my personal point of view, I think from discussion so far, Nnamdi Kanu's approach on the issue, the truth of the matter is that Nigeria as a country does not even have value for its own citizens. Let's keep the point straight.
Absolutely.
Nnamdi Kanu himself has been able to take his time to study Nigeria, and he felt he needed to be heard. And he knew that if he had come up in a very subtle way, nobody will give ears to his agitation. Let's not forget that the Biafra agitation has been around for a very long time with the Masob and other groups.
Yeah.
And we've seen situations where some agitators went to court with the Nigerian government. In fact, we have a lot of court cases lying down.
Yeah.
The Biafran agitators trying to seek for legal means to go through the process.
Yeah.
And in my personal view, I felt Nnamdi Kanu himself felt that, you know, Nigeria really needs to wake up and see things from the perspective of an average Biafran. Personally, myself, I'm from Delta, and I would tell you that Nigeria has failed everybody, my dear brother.
Okay.
Nigeria has failed everybody, and we must, at this point in time, start appreciating the likes of Nnamdi Kanu for his bravery to have stood up at this point in time, in this age, to bring people's awareness to what things should be like. Most of us are in Europe. We don't have any business coming to Europe.
Okay.
We know the amount of taxes we pay here in this part of the world. With the talent and the education we have, we are just making contributions to foreign lands, and
okay, so
contributions will never come back to us again.
Okay, I want to bring in other callers there, and you made a quite point. The caller made a point there that no matter how you view Kanu's tactics and the way he's going about his call for Biafra, at least he has woken the national consciousness.
Definitely, he has done that. I mean, this is what silently, this is what the Easterners have been talking about. They are Jewish, they are the chosen ones, they will love to be a part, and that's, I mean, if they are like that, we'll realize how bigger than Nigeria they are going to be. It's understandable, it is okay. But what we're saying is the way Kanu is going about it. And it's been all talks, and then a lot of people, we do not want to experience that violence. I do wish that the Nigerian government will realize that, okay, these people want to go. Let us find out more from the leaders of this community. Do you really want to? Then, you know, just go. But the way the Nigerian government also went about it, because he went violence, he was talking about guns and drones and everything else.
Let's look at that. Let's take a look at that clip now. The clip is ready. And these are Nigerian soldiers treating what people Kanu calls Biafran soldiers. Just let's watch this clip.
Now, wow. It's unfortunate, too. It's unfortunate. This one now is dead. It's dead, too.
So, viewers, that's it there. Horrible image, if you ask me. No matter what, I don't think they deserve that treatment. And of course, let us say that the Nigerian military did say they're going to investigate this. They will bring everyone involved to justice. Let's hope that is going to happen. But we've got a caller, Richard from London. Good evening.
Oh, hi, good evening, Kayode. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Right. Yeah, just in the clip which you showed. Can I just make some fundamental clarification? Because before you play that clip, you actually said it was between two armies, the Biafran army.
No, I put a proviso. I said according to Kanu. I'm not saying Biafra as an army. You know, I'm saying that Kanu claims to have a secret service, a paramilitary unit, and
right. Okay. So
yeah.
Kanu can claim whatever he wants to claim.
Yeah.
A picture will forever speak more than 1,000 words.
Absolutely.
Right. This what you just showed now, it's so abhorrent that even to the most dim and wicked mind, anywhere upon the face of the earth will condemn it.
Absolutely.
Do you understand what I'm saying, sir?
Yes.
This of all their whatever they had on them, they were stripped down, which was videoed upon the ground. There was some paraphernalia, some bad, some flat, some. You understand?
I get you, yeah.
Everything aside, let's talk about humanity now.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Sometimes, this is why some people upon the face of the earth believe in animals more than human beings.
Okay,
do you understand?
I understand you now, Richard.
Good example.
Richard.
Animals fighting.
Yeah, Richard, I get your point, and no one can disagree with your point that it is unjustified. I actually find it appalling that any national army would treat its citizens that way.
But no, we shouldn't stop at condemning it only.
Yeah.
That unit that carried out this laudable action, they are still members of the Nigerian
army. And Richard, I take your point. I want you to hold on. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
I want you to hold on. I want to show you another clip now. And I would love your comment on that clip, the same way we have treated this issue of the Nigerian Army's appalling treatment of fellow Nigerians, whom Kanu claims to be Biafrans. That's semantics. I want my producer to show, play the clip of IPOB, alleged IPOB members. Can you start again and let's have the volume?
God will protect us. God will protect us. I don't like that. I got police to know people.
Now,
speed. Hey! That is speed.
Are you still online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, for our non-Igbo-speaking viewers, those are alleged IPOB members hunting down Hausa people in
people from the northern part,
or people from the northern part of the country. We saw, at least I saw 2 knives in that clip.
Machete.
I saw a machete there. I saw trailers that were burnt down, and I actually saw, and this is not this clip, it can be verified, a mosque belonging to a Yoruba ethnic group completely destroyed.
Braced to the ground.
Yeah. Now, let me have your comment on that.
Thank you very much. I'm definitely not going to quote Donald Trump on you right here and say there was violence on any side. No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to be very specific there.
Yeah.
You see, ignorance is a disease. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, if you have conflicting positions, you understand, and you have one group who are expected by their position in the society, maybe their affiliation, and then you have another group, you understand, who are, okay, let's say they don't measure up. You understand? What these ignorant people are doing, haunting people from the northern part of Nigeria, all in the name of, because some military men opened fire on our previous protest, some people were shot, and therefore we're going to go out hunting for innocent souls. It is ignorance of the highest order. Pure ignorance, nothing more, nothing less.
Okay.
I tell you, if you ask them to define these people who are hunting for people that they want to massacre or lynch, if you ask them to define what it means to be a state or the agitation for a state
of Biafra,
you will find out that they absolutely have got nothing to say.
Okay. Okay, Richard, because I have to let other callers call in, and I want to really thank you for your contribution, and we looked at both sides. Now, violet, they say, begets violet, and we want to encourage you. The phone lines are buzzing. Please keep calling in. We're going to make it as short as possible for the callers now. We condemn the soldiers. And people say Kanu is just expressing himself. He's just trying to get attention. He just wants Nigeria to listen, but that is the product of hate speech, as far as I'm concerned.
Of course.
That is, when
because
you go on
he has inspired these people wrongly. These are people who are already aggrieved because of the economic situation in Nigeria. And then he starts speaking for violence, and they could immediately connect and said, yes, I could do this. And they are completely, like the caller said, they're completely ignorant. They are just being overzealous because they do not understand what the reaction of their actions could bring about. And it is sadly, they don't know, because if you do that, they don't see that, then you know what's going to happen to your own people over there. And because you know how widely traveled the Igbos are, and if you're killing, say, I'm looking for another, I want to kill them, you know what's going to happen to your people? Well, they don't think when they do these things.
The good thing, surprisingly, well, don't let me use surprisingly, but thankfully, the good thing is that it's been handled quite well in the north. Apart from the skirmish we had in Plateau State, governors in the north spoke out to condemn the act, and they also call on their people not to for reprisal. And then Southeast governors now seems to key into the fact that we have to look at other means of resolving this crisis. Let's have Frank Bello. Good evening, Frank Bello. Please tell us where you're calling from. Hello, good evening, Frank.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, where?
You. How are you?
I'm fine. Where are you calling from, sir?
I'm from London, Kayode.
All right, go ahead quickly, sir.
Now, I've been fascinated because I saw on your wall the fact that you're going to touch on this IPOB issue.
Yeah.
And I've been monitoring everything since you came live on air.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I'm going to contribute is this. And it You know me very well because I'm a very regular person on that same network. And I think before Buhari came to power, I campaigned, I'm not ashamed to say that, I campaigned vigorously to make sure that Muhammadu Buhari was installed as president of that country. And if my president is doing the wrong thing, I have the right to tell it.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank, because we have very few. Frank, we're going to have more callers, so I want you to make it.
I made mention just before that election that brought Muhammadu Buhari to power, that if Muhammadu Buhari should come to power, which I assumed at the time, he's going to come to power and he's going to win, guaranteed, in a landslide victory.
Frank, you're taking us. I want you to. Hello, Frank. We want to encourage our callers. Please make it as brief as possible because we want as many people to contribute to this program as possible. If Frank can call back again, please call back, but go straight to the point. No beating around the bush, with due respect, so that we can have more people call in. The president's handling on this issue, a lot of people have condemned the way he has handled. A number of people actually said that, look, he's handling the issue wrongly. He's not behaving like a father. He should call these people to Aso Rock and talk with them. They cite the example of Yaradua, who met with the Niger Delta militants.
Yes.
Should they have handled this differently?
I think the president cannot, I repeat, cannot separate his person from the seats. Because if you know him and the way he's been responding to journalists, especially foreign journalists, he does it with a lot of attitude. This is what I have disdain, I have dislike, I cannot stand this, this is irritable, it is not acceptable.
That is secession.
That is his own action. This is Nnamdi Kanu's action. They are both volcanic eruptions. You understand? And they seem to be clashing. Anyway, at the end of it, we found that, the superpower is. But the fact is that President Muhammadu Buhari has to understand that this is no longer 1983, and you're no longer in the military. What you're meant to do in a situation like this, keep your personal interest aside and call those people to talk, to round up. Even if you don't want to speak with an Nnamdi Kanu, let us have, there are a number of people in that community that you could speak with.
Okay, I'm going to let our caller Nago from London make a contribution. That is not before. That's not before telling Toby that the video he's sharing is upside down. Go ahead, Nado from London. Hello, Nado. You have to reduce the volume of your TV set.
Hello, Kayode.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for actually presenting this program.
Yeah, where are you calling from, please?
Oh, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Kayode, thanks for presenting this program. I just want to say something to you as a person, Kayode, because a lot of people are listening to you. You are not sure who is listening to this program.
Yeah.
And I want to just condemn your act when it comes to, your sarcasm about this man from Ekiti State. You made some comments about him earlier on in your program. I just want to condemn it because that's not good, that's not fair. It doesn't matter what he stands for or the kind of politics he's playing. Then secondly, the reference you made to the Biafran army or whatever way, I see that as a sarcasm also. And because you're on a national television and you have a lot of people listening to you, you have to be mindful of what you say and the way you say them and the way the way you present them. Because I really take exception to such thoughts and such sarcasm.
I concede. Nago.
You shouldn't cite any group at all.
Nago.
So that's actually mine. Not just about what's happening in Nigeria.
Nago, you're not giving me you're not giving me a chance to respond to you. First, I concede you to your right to your opinion regarding my opinion on the country I have a stake in. That is the beauty of the democracy we fought for. Yes. My opinion is charlatans do not have, in my opinion, really, it's not the opinion of Ben TV. Charlatans do not have, should not be given a chance to destroy our country, irrespective of where they come from. That is my personal opinion, and I think this country respects free speech. whether it's on national TV, in the privacy of your home.
Yeah.
What you have a right to is a right to disagree with my opinion, and you've expressed that, and I respect your right to disagree with me. Now to the point of IPOB, what are your opinions on that?
Nago, is she still there?
Hello, Nago. I think you have to call back because I can hear a feedback from your TV. So you have to please call back because I want you to be able to express yourself. And for any other caller, please just reduce the volume of your TV set so we can have a conversation. And please, if you're a member of IPOB, the platform is yours. Feel free to call in. Feel free to counter whatever conversation we're having. But as far as I'm concerned, hate speech should not be allowed in any country in the world. IPOB have got a right to whatever they are fighting for, but they do not have the right to hate speech, just like the Nigerian army and the Nigerian government do not have a right to violate their fundamental human rights. So, how can we help IPOB to reform itself? At least I know from my experience within the OPC that the OPC was forced to reform itself, really. So,
because they're ready to listen. The APC, one way or the other, know what were they fighting for? What was it that they wanted? Because the Yorubas, I'm sorry I have to get down like that, the Yorubas have been they are a resourceful race, and they've been very privileged in Nigeria. So I just think they are just some people who just wants to be recognized. Because beyond that, no, I'm talking about the OPC group, the Gani Adams group. You understand? So the Igbos from the Easterners now, we know about Ojuku's role in the Biafran War, and now they are resurrecting it again. Maybe there was actually no need for it to resurface if the government of Nigeria has been handling their affairs the way they were meant to be. So because something pushed them, you can't beat a child and ask the child not to cry. So now they are crying, but they're actually crying wrongly by destroying the television and scattering everywhere. Sorry, I just have to illustrate it that way. That is the only problem with Nnamdi Kanu. He's not going about it the way he's meant to.
Let's hear from Julius from Leeds. Good evening, Julius.
Mr. Kayode.
Yeah, Julius, can you give me 1 second to please tell Toby that his TV is upside down? Go ahead, Julius.
Okay, yeah. I want to talk about this IPOB and the Kanu.
Go ahead, sir.
A lot of people, they say Kanu, the organization is not a terrorist organization. I wanted to go back to the 2014 Terrorism Act, signed into law by the former administration of Jonathan. Or what is the meaning of terrorism? They say it doesn't carry arms. I've lived in this country, and every one of us, and you, Mr. Kayode, and your presenter, we all live here. People that have been convicted of terrorism here, we never had the police say they have a gun.
Absolutely. You
understand? So maybe like Kanu is, of all his activities and all that he has done, he's confirmed that, he's a terrorist. Somebody that is having an army within the state. Somebody that is having he said he has a secret service army within the state. I don't know. This guy, I think Buhari is so soft. For me, he's so soft. Because if it was Obasanjo, I don't know, it would have, we would have escalated to this state we are. I just pray that, this guy, as we are taking care of him, should remain silent. Nigeria of 1967 is not Nigeria of today. We cannot go back to that era again. Any country that if Nigeria going to war today now, Nigeria will never ever recover.
Okay.
All right. A country that going to war second time will never come back again.
Okay. Thank you,
We don't need war now. War is not what we need. We don't need any. You see, what we call it. What is going on in Nigeria Delta and also other part of the country. It's disturbing the economy of Nigeria. Okay. Thank you,
Julius. So that we're going to be fair on other callers and people may. Look, you can hate me for this. I will keep saying it. Anybody that is saying the Igbos are more marginalized than any other tribe in Nigeria, they are being economical with the truth. That's my opinion. No, you can decide to meet me on the street and disagree. There are poor people in Ikare where I come from. I think that I've found more people in Ikare where I come from than I found in Umuahia or in other parts of Southeast. I schooled in the north. I can tell you that there are as many poor people in the north as there are in any part of the southeast. There are more people suffering in all parts of Nigeria. There are more bad roads in Lagos. There are as many bad roads in Lagos with its economic development as you can have in other parts of southeast. That is not to say that Nigeria has been fair to the southeast, but Nigeria has not been fair to the south-south. Nigeria has not been fair to the northeast, to the north central. The problem, as far as I'm concerned, is Nigerians oppressing Nigerians. And
Kayode,
Kanu may have a point. Does he have a right to use hate speech as a weapon to achieve his goal? Tony, I will come back to you.
Kayode, if you look at it, I think in another 1 year or 2 years, Kanu Nnamdi Kanu might regret these actions. Because it's like, what is he fighting for? What's the aim at the end of the day? Succession. For what reason? Because as a sociologist, I will tell you this. We usually talk about when tribes clash in the society. It's actually classes that are clashing. You understand? Those, the bourgeoisies who are actually clashing, but then they now fall back on ethnicity and making it look as if that is the problem that they're having. If those people who have been ruling Nigeria for years have come together and say that the people need to be educated, there need to be power, health system needs to work, this needs to work, infrastructure, and everything is properly put in place, those young men who are following Nnamdi Kanu today would not be doing what they are doing. And Kanu would not even have a platform that he could ride on.
Let's hear what Tony has got to say. Tony is calling from Manchester. We are privileged to have you, Tony. Good evening, and please go ahead and make your point.
Yeah, good evening, Kayode.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, this issue of IPOB and Kanu, to me, as far as I'm concerned, what Kanu has done is not at all near to anything considered terrorism.
Okay.
Kanu is only going with words of mouth. And I think we should concentrate on actions rather than words of mouth.
Yeah.
We have the judiciary. If Kanu has said what he said with his mouth, there is a law of libel in Nigeria. Now let me ask you a question. If the president, Mr. Buhari, since he came to power, or ever today he came to power, he said it categorically before the war that he will treat his leadership with 97% fairness to the North, who gave him the vote, and 5% to those who did not give him the vote. If you were a parent and you tell your children, you will treat some fairly and some unfairly because they don't support you.
Yeah. Tony,
and you feel it don't belong. That is one.
Tony, before you go, I would like to respond to that. I think it was unfair for the president to designate any part of Nigeria as those who did not vote for him.
Yes.
When he said that, those of us who were more like Buhari's condemned him for that. Having said that, I do not think that is, I don't think Buhari has handled the Southeast well since he became president. I don't think he has.
No, that is not.
I don't think he has caught
true.
it.
If you look at the lopsidedness of appointment, he is actually making do with the threat. It is not hidden. What he says, he is actually putting it into practice because when you look at the appointments he is making, you can automatically see that the Southeast were completely marginalized and left out of that.
Okay. No, Tony, because this is politics with KO. We like to counter check facts. In the Federal Executive Council, four states from Southeast have 2 ministers. Katsina State does not have a senior minister. They've got a junior minister. The Southeast has about 4 major foreign ministers. And I don't think the Nigerian constitution, and on the basis of ministerial appointments, I don't think any part of Nigeria is less.
No, now when you talk about the ministerial appointment, you are talking about the one that Constitution.
Yeah.
Because Constitution mandates him to do that. If not because of the Constitution.
Yeah, it won't. So can you? Give me examples of places where the Southeast have been marginalized in appointments.
Look at the recent appointment with NNPC. In NNPC, do you have anybody from the Southeast? The answer is no.
My
Look at the service chief. The service chief. Do you have anybody from the southeast?
Yeah.
The answer is completely no.
Yeah.
A lot of decisions are taken without the inclusion of the people from the southeast.
Okay, Tony, you have a very fair point there, but I will say that when Jonathan was president of this country, the Southwest were, just using your category,
Southwest, they tried that Jonathan marginalized them, but that is not correct.
So will it be right? You see, that's where Nigeria. That is where I don't understand us as a people. I think the Southwest were not properly represented in Jonathan's government. Wait, Tony, let me land, please. But I don't think the Southwest.
I have a joke about that, but I'm going to keep it.
Okay, Tony, I just want to clarify that even though the Southwest were not well represented in Jonathan's government, I don't have a problem with that. So far, Jonathan appointed competent people within his government to deliver his agenda. And I'm quite glad that people of the Southwest did not make any noise about it.
In every democratic system, the rule of law must be sacrosanct and it must prevail.
Okay. All right, Tony. Tony, thank you very much. The point has been made, but you know what? We are very special people in Nigeria, Rose, and I say it with some element of responsibility that when Jonathan was president, he treated the Southwest like they didn't matter. But I'm quite pleased that the Southwest didn't make so much noise about it.
Can I tell you something silly?
Yeah.
It's so bad with the way Jonathan treated the Southwest that even the actresses from the Southwest were not even given entrance. During the Nollywood, when they go there, you see him with the actress from the East. This shouldn't be said, but it's just that it is what trickles down. They just know that. They just wait, Kayode, let me make my point, because I don't know where this clip is going to go. But I'm telling you the truth. When you see Mr. President, you see most of the actors from the East, from the South. Those are the ones he flags around himself. You don't see it. But when OBJ was there, but I don't know why this should be the case, because in Nigeria we are so disunited, but in the same country. We should take it away from it favors this tribe, it favors the other tribe.
My point even is that I am actually, Frank, please hold on. I am very angry in terms of, I have never seen any Yoruba man represent me very well in any federal appointment. I have never seen any Yoruba president, including Obasanjo, represent the Yorubas. Because the problem is, if Obasanjo had wanted to represent Yoruba quite well, he would have done well for the whole of Nigeria. And I have not seen any northern president that has represented the northern part of the country quite well, because if they've done so, there won't be poverty in the north. And I have not seen any Southeasterners, including the governors, represent the people of Southeast very well. Because if they've done that, there won't be any problem in Southeast.
It's just self-interest.
So I don't see any reason why the appointment of this and that is actually the issue. The fact is that these incompetent people from all parts of Nigeria have held our country to ransom. And this issue of they come from my place or not, we had the chief of army staff who was from Abia State, you know, and, well, let me just take Frank because I need to get this back to the people. Good evening, Frank. Hello, Frank, good evening. I think we've lost Frank there. Now, back to the issue is that why do we always not look at this thing dispassionately and say, okay, and I must admit the Buhari presidency has not been fair in terms of even the way it has managed the perception of how it makes its appointment. I see a lot of names, and I would accuse the Buhari government more of nepotism than tribalism, because I can see quite a number of people in the government that you can say is the cousin of that, is the friend to this, is the adopted daughter of this, and that permeates every presidency.
I think, then again, the tribalism and nepotism this time around, as this regards this government, just go hand in hand. There's just no way we could separate it. And this was not the vision we had when we were all campaigning for Buhari, because we felt this guy is now reformed. And he has gone back to his drawing board and feels that this is what Nigeria actually needs. But sadly, it took us way back. Way back. And then his media team, we know, are not helping. They're not doing a good job about this. And each time they come up, is defending, counteracting, I mean, just fighting, just throwing up press releases everywhere and saying, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. If you ask the average Nigerian, as much as we are being sentimental to say that, yes, we fought to take away an incumbent president and we brought in this other person, if you ask them, they would really tell you, the government of Muhammadu Buhari has failed Nigerians.
Okay, let us have Tunde from Bedfordshire. Good evening, Tunde. Hello, Tunde.
Hello, good evening, Kayode.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Oh, hi, Rose. I hope you're okay as well.
Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, good, good. Firstly, what's my condolences to the Nigerian army, and especially Oluwatoyin, that recently lost her life at the war front in Baga. May her soul rest in peace.
Amen.
Amen.
And now on IPOB, basically, Kanu has been a joker all along. Whoever took him serious is a joker as well. That's my own personal opinion. I don't even know the category which I ought to honestly place it. Is he a freedom fighter, a religious leader, or a soldier? A person that lies in both mouths, is that a leader? Yeah, I think the whole tragedy in the whole issue is the quietness of the Igbo elders. And you bear me witness nowadays that in Yoruba, they say, you see, it's not fair. The Igbo elders have kept quiet for so long, and they couldn't caution him, and that has led to where we are today. I don't think Kanu or Nnamdi was talking about, honestly. Okay. And I'll just say, of the Nigerian army, I personally respect the United Nations Convention on the way they treat Biafra army or Biafra street services, or whatever name or these guys they choose to bear.
Okay,
respect the convention.
Okay, thank you, Tunde. Tunde, thank you. Let's take a short clip from. Let's hear from the man himself, Dim Odumegu Ojukwu. His position about Biafra. He said, "Never again." That is not to say Ojukwu did say that everything was smooth for our brothers and sisters in the southeast, but having fought the war, led the war on Biafra. Here is an old clip of Ojukwu's comment on Biafra.
First one.
Violence. Chief Emeka Ojukwu led the Biafrans against the government in the last war. He says it would be a mistake for anyone to provoke another.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. And I will say to everyone, I led proudly the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail. It would all have been in vain.
Violence. Chief Emeka Ojukwu led the Biafrans against the government in the last war. He says it would be a mistake for anyone to provoke another.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. And I will say to everyone, I led proudly the first one.
Well, that was the former Biafran leader, late General Ojukwu, on his the fallacy in trying to start another Biafra war. But get me right, I'm not saying anyone in the Southeast is trying to start a Biafra war, and I'm not accusing anyone of trying to start Biafra war. But those who started the war in 1967 did not know they were starting a war, because it was more like they were representing the poor people. They were trying to protect their people that were marginalized, and we lost almost 3 million people, both Igbos and non-Igbos. South Nigerian died from all across the country. But I should always say that in the interest of those who have died for our country, Igbos, non-Igbos, Nigerians, we need to have an honest conversation about our country. We all agree that Nigeria as it is not working. We all agree that the ethnic nationalities must have a say in the way they want to live their life. We all agree that our country needs to be restructured. The issue and the problem is, how do we go about it? Let me hear from Obi. Obi is calling from London. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for accepting my call. I wanted to point out certain things that you said which I don't agree with.
Yes, sir.
You keep referring to the supporters of Kano as soldiers, and you keep claiming that he calls them his soldiers or secret service or what have you. What they are actually BSS, which stands for Biafran Security Service.
Okay.
Their job is to gather intelligence about Fulani headsmen who have been killing Igbo farmers without the central government doing anything about it.
Okay.
So when they asked for guns, they were actually asking for guns for those farmers to protect themselves, because Fulani headsmen carry AK-47 in Nigeria and they actually kill with it, and no one does anything about it. So Nnamdi Kanu is not being violent when he's asking other Igbos to come to the help of the farmers who were killed.
Okay, Obi, I want you to hold on, please, and I want to thank you for that correction, even though what I hear from Kanu is quite different, but just hold on, because my producer is going to play a clip now. Kanu speaks. If he can't get the clip, we'll play it later. And I take your point, and I do take your point that I take your point. So go ahead.
My other point is that the right to self-determination is actually protected or guaranteed in the United Nations Charter.
Absolutely.
So that means that the people in the Southeast, as an indigenous people of that area, they have a right to self-determination, so they can express it. That's what they are doing. So they're not breaking any law, really, by saying that they want a referendum to decide their own future. So responding to them with violence, rather than trying to convince them on the reasons why they should belong to Nigeria, is wrong.
Okay,
Obi, there was the European Union referendum.
Obi, and again, we also have an agreement on your second point. The right to self-determination is guaranteed by the United Nations Charter. No one is going to dispute that. But you,
can you speak louder, because I can't really hear you?
Yeah, I'm saying that you're right with your point about the rights being guaranteed. But you also know, I don't know if you know that incendiary messages, you know what happened in Rwanda with Radio Rwanda. I don't know if you are familiar with that.
Yeah, in Rwanda, I'm familiar with what happened in Rwanda. And what happened in Rwanda have actually happened in Nigeria. Because in 1966, 30,000 Igbos were killed in Nigeria. And to date, no one talks about it. As a matter of fact, when the Igbos talk about it, they are told to shut up and forget about it. You know, these things are still raw wounds on people's hearts.
I understand.
Their parents, their loved ones, their grandparents were killed. And today in Nigeria, the Northerners who killed the parents of these Igbos, they still call us Nyamiri. Nyamiri is the word that the Igbos were using to beg for water when they were being killed in 1966. So that is hate speech if you're looking for any hate speech.
Yeah,
killing people, mocking them with the name that you killed them.
Obi, you have a point there, and before I'll let you go, you have a point there. There's a counter argument that Igbos killed all the northern leaders that they worship. So don't let us go back and forth.
I'm sure that you are aware.
I want to ask you a final question.
Soldiers of the Nigerian army killed.
I get you are entitled to your
Nigerian army.
You are entitled to your
soldiers of the Nigerian army, and one of them who wrote a book is actually Yoruba, and he wrote exactly why they struck. That's what the book is called.
Obi, the point I'm trying to make is there are two sides. There are two sides to a story, and I take your side of the story. And I'm a political scientist. I always read both sides of the story. None of the sides justified, in my opinion. But Igbos were. Igbos were there was a genocide in the northern region that is acknowledged. Whatever reason that led to the genocide, as far as I'm concerned, is unjustified. But you also have to hear from the other side. They will say that the coup, was a coup to get rid of their leaders, and they felt that was also wrong. Both sides, as far as I'm concerned, do not have a point to justify the counter action. But that is to say, my point is, how do we move away? For how long do we continue to live in the history of Hausas killed Igbos, Igbos killed Hausa,
and Yorubas watching?
And no one says anything about it. That is hate speech.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thanks, Obi, for that contribution, and that's the point there. How do we change? How do we heal the wounds? Because it appears we've not healed that wound for that. But let me first play Kanu, and I'll take the call. Listen to Kanu here.
IPOB, one family. IPOB, one family. One family. IPOB. We are unstoppable. Unstoppable. Come on, deal with the night to us. They'll keep lying. Nsogbu anyị nwere ndị Yoruba ma ọ bụ ndị Hausa ma ndị Fulani ndị Igbo onye Igbo ma pụta abụọ. Son is published by the layman, is that correct? Yes. Is that correct? Yes, sir. They are doing more damaging work than Hausa Fulani through misinformation and lying. Anytime I decide not to speak and keep quiet, in deference, not to the laws of the zoo, but in deference to Justice Peter Nyako, that gave me bail. They keep publishing lies about me, lies against me and IPOB, and that is why I will keep responding. They are the ones who are breaking the law, not me. You can see the lies they are publishing about me and IPOB. Me and Buhari, who should be afraid of each other? Me and the zoo police, who should be afraid of each other? The zoo police. Me and the zoo army, who should be afraid of each other? The zoo army. How dare somebody publish that I'm in hiding? Who is that idiot? Come on, I can go put your hand. From some newspaper, an Igbo man's paper, writing nonsense. What is the headline? That Biafra leader on the run. From some newspaper. That is zoo journalism for you. That is why we have our own radio Biafra. That is why we have our own satellite television. That is why we have Biafra television. Because of lies and deception. I can stand and prove who I am, but Buhari cannot do the same thing. Because the man you're looking at on the television is not Buhari. Don't you know that? His name is Jubail, he's from Sudan. After extensive plastic surgery, they brought him back. Taught him Buhari's mannerisms. And he came and deceived all of you. You cannot deceive him, Namdo Kanu. You cannot deceive IPOB. It wasn't my wish to speak. But the more I keep quiet, the more they keep lying against me. That is why.
Well, what can I say? That is the Let's go to Anthony from London because I would like to hold my comment there. Good evening, Anthony. Hello, good evening. Do we still have Anthony on the line?
Hello.
Hello, good evening, Anthony.
Yeah, I just tuned in to see exactly what you guys are talking about. First of all, I need to correct some assertions.
Okay.
You played a clip about Ikemba Ojukwu talking about not going into another war again.
Yeah.
I take exceptions to that because that particular old tape is as far back as you can go back.
Anthony, I'm not sure if you're watching the same program because I did say, Dim Ojukwu did say that the circumstances surrounding the Biafra still remains. So I did make those corrections.
And because I do truly understand where you're going to.
Yeah.
Now, if in fact that you want to apply independency about the issue regarding the Igbos, Biafra, or Nigeria, it has to be seen to be so. You played a clip that permeates into the minds of the psychology of people to assume that Igbos are now perhaps, quote unquote, are maybe thinking about going into a war, even though you corrected yourself.
So, Anthony, you have said it all.
Can I finish?
No, you cannot finish because you have asserted and reasserted, and I've just got 3 minutes to end this program. You can come into the studio. We are giving you an open invitation on this program to come and speak about this issue. I have to run. That's the issue, really. But you've made 2 assertions. You have asserted, you corrected, you asserted again, and you said I clarified. So I don't think there is an issue here for a debate. Let's, in ending this program, how can we make progress?
Discussion. We talk. I mean, talks have settled a lot of things around the world. Like, I might draw our attention to what is happening with the North Korea president. Maybe he just wants to be heard. Maybe he just wants to be recognized. So he's testing his nuclear heads. So in talking about Nnamdi Kanu now and Nigeria, I think the president needs to just take, you know, a sit back and let them have a conversation. Pardon me, Kayode, IPOB, it's not, as it is now, it is not possible. If you look at all the indices, it is not. So I think the president needs to have a sit down and talk with these people.
I want to thank Rose Peter. She's going to be with you next month, and the month after is going to be our show because sometimes man need to rest. Tony, Uche, and our little princess, and of course, the young man himself, Toby. We want to thank you, and we want to thank Ben TV for this program. The views expressed on this program has got nothing to do with Ben TV. They are of politics with KO and our community. And I always say, journalists must have an opinion. Thank you, God bless, and see you next month when Rose will be hosting the show.